Hello and welcome to this best of 3 series between VM Berserk and xNavigator. Be sure to like and subscribe for more games and let's get into it. So today we have Ogre Kingdoms into Beastmen. Quite the matchup, man. Uh, I I would think that this is heavily favored towards Beastmen, especially with the kinds of mobility that they have. But we also crazily, man, see Greases, the absolute chunk monster, Greases Goldtooth, and also supported by the Amble Peak Greyback Yetis. Man, this is quite the cool shot, right? Like Greases rolling on in his mobility scooter with his little pimp cane, with some classic Noblars around him, right? And then escorted by the Yetis as his bodyguards. This is gonna be a cool game, I can tell. And for the rest of the army, we actually have a bunch of pigbacks, Noblar trappers, Noblar flingers. And on the other side, we have two saber tusk packs going into the trees to potentially put pressure on the number one victory objective, which is a common tactic when you have some sort of mobility. Though the saber tusks, like in one of the previous games that we have seen on this map especially, really need to be careful when going into the forest because they don't have any sort of special forest movement trait. So they're just going to be minus 19 in terrain. And the beastmen, all of the beastmen units basically have woodsmen, right? So they can pass through trees, which means that they don't get affected in any way by terrain when it comes to specifically trees, right? And on the side of Navigator, we got Malagor and the Beastmen being held by Doom and Darkness, which is a great spell against Ogres. Why? Because Ogres are very low leadership, and overcasting this basically makes it an AoE. So he's gonna be have the ability basically to go into a full AoE minus 16 type of deal. Also, Penumbral Pendulum. This is to clear out some sort of Noblars when they're fighting on the front line. Other than this, we have a bunch of Ungor Spearmen, the classic Grey Herd, and yeah, they look so funny when they're like this fully white when with this specific banner, right? And then we got a bunch of Gore Herds. So this is a Mass Gore Herd, Mass Ungor Spearman, and then Mass Ungor Raider. We also got a Gorble. Gorbles are great fighters. They can just go in and solo something that is supposed to be like a caster, or in this case, Greases. Greases is a tough cookie to crack, right? So it could be very difficult for him to actually go down. And yeah, just more Gore Herd. So this is going to be quite the fight. And we immediately see the Beastmen basically going for a double objective cap. We also see a Ungor Spearman just going to the front here, and they also have stock so that you're not afraid. This is the best probably Spearman unit in the game. They're so cheap, like especially without the shields, and they get charge reflect and expert charge defense versus large. Insane unit for 325 or 3, I believe, 75 with the shields. So probably like the best unit out of this. Also the humble Ungor Raider with Stockman, that is an absolute steal for like 425, I believe. And this seems to be like a another ogre build-up game, and this is very smart from the side of Berserk. He is putting the Noblar flingers pretty much in front, so that immediately upon contact with the basically half invisible armies of Navi, that they are going to be able to shoot, right, if he goes in for a frontal charge, because he knows that they have basically kind of the same range. So as soon as they get close to each other, they're gonna reveal each other, and that's gonna be that. He's just gonna start firing. We also see a couple of vultures being called in. This is basically your spotter unit, and he knows that there's going to be like a bunch of invisible units. So he's basically scouting with the vultures to see what's up from the side of the Beastmen. He does unfortunately run into some Mongol raiders. So yeah, unfortunate. He's also kind of trying to go to the back objective there. Just didn't take enough of a long way around to be able to support the saber tusk packs, right? And we see the Butchers of Kalkengard, man. The classic summon of probably the strongest unit on the roster. These guys basically never die, right? They have regen, and they have this ability Blood Greed. So they basically, the longer that they stay in combat, the more damage that they do. They also have Terror, which is insane into Ogres. They have huge weapon strength, very nasty charge bonus, and just all around amazing stats. So whenever they go into something, they're gonna be absolute Terminators for it, and also be able to regen. They also have a hard tendency when they have when they get routed, let's say, to just come back with 3 models, then regen it up, and then absolutely destroy the opponent. We also see a Lead Belcher summon alongside some Ogre Bulls. Lead Belchers are good for a sweeper unit after the start of the fight, right? Because you need something to contest, let's say the Butchers or the Centaurs, etc. But against Beastmen, it's very difficult to keep them alive, right? So this is a good thing that he hasn't started with them, alongside the simple fact that most of these units are invisible, right? He would have to basically commit to the fight, or half commit to the fight, and at that point, then the Lead Belchers could shoot. And Lead Belchers, having a huge distance that they can shoot from, is very good for them, but they still need to get close to do the actual reveal. And this is kind of also a sweeper unit. They're kind of going to the side, trying to, ooh, this is very nasty, because he doesn't see the trappers, and the trappers don't see the Ungors. This is the little icon that says that they're both invisible. And so if he does something like a flanking maneuver with the freaking Ungor Spearmen, that would be pretty cool. Also, Vultures are kind of being, oh, he wants to dissuade the Ungor Spearmen from committing to the Vultures finding the Ungor Spearmen, but he doesn't end up doing it properly. And now that the Ungor Spearmen are basically revealed, he is still sending them in, which is interesting. So he basically is charging the Lead Belchers. Wow, and no defense from the side of Berserk. What is he doing? No, he's probably looking somewhere else, and basically gets the Doom and Darkness also with Malagor onto the Lead Belchers. If the Lead Belchers actually break, he could have just moved them back a bit earlier. If the Lead Belchers would have broken, then Malagor would have just escorted them off the battlefield. But the Lead Belchers actually had a very nice defense. It was just that it was a bit too late, right? He could have moved them just a tiny bit later, and then still gotten, let's say, the Centaurs. So nice try from Navi to get the Lead Belchers, but it doesn't end up paying off. He just loses a Centaur unit for it, and then these Blood Vultures will potentially even escort this unit off the battlefield. Another Centaur summon, another Vulture summon. Vulture's gonna probably charge these Ungor Raiders or some other Ungor Raiders. He's just scouting with them. Same with these guys, because you can't turn the Ungor Raiders, right? If they turn, then they don't support the mainline fighting when it starts, and this is kind of still a kind of disconnected engagement, but it makes sense if you look at the macro, look at the battlefield. Like in the back, he got charged by the double saber tusks into the Centaurs, and these guys were supposed to come in and help out, but they decided against it just because, again, it is quite difficult, and there is a Centaur unit basically waiting to help them out. We also see the Yetis basically screening the Centaurs, which is again very smart. Very nice charge from the side of Berserk into them. So they're going to be slowed, and both the Chilling Aura, they have the Aura of Frost, and they also have Frostbite. So these guys are down to what, like 46 speed now. But in the back, they're being shot at by the Ungor Raiders and also some of the Spearmen at the front line. What is happening here? There seems to be just a side fight, and ooh, this is a difficult fight to take for the ogres. Even though it's seemingly a good ogre charge, Butchers are the support. There's an Ungor Spearman unit here, and there's still the Gore Bull, right? So this is going to be an absolute slaughter for the side of the Beastmen into them, right? And on this side we also have the Ambleback Greyback Yetis just running into their main counter, which is, even though they caught that one Centigore unit, which is now 50%, they just got destroyed by Minotaur's great weapons. And Greases on his little mobility scooter is just not there yet. We see a cast of the Penumbral Pendulum. Oh my lord, destroying that Trapper unit, and a bonus Flinger to its side. And back to this frontline engagement, very nice chain lightning from the side of Berserk. It ends up cooking one of the Ungor Raiders, and they end up even running through it. So this unit will probably shatter. A nice comet also inside of into the Noblar Spears here. Not the Noblar Spears, the Ungor Spears, basically collapsing that side. But this is still a very much favorable trade for the side of the Beastmen, right? They still have the Butchers, they have Malagor with Zoras, and they have Gorbel basically fighting in this. And also a Gort herd got into the Bogglers of the Mad Marshes, and these guys are not in water, so they're gonna have not the best of times. Though there is still support from like small arms fire from the Noblar Flingers, and when you look at the back objective, he basically fully got cleaned up by the Saber Tusks, right? We see a couple of the units basically routing over there, but he's fully clean. And on the frontline engagement, we saw the payment, the cash cascade from our little boy Greases here, and he's gonna be clapping the cheeks of these Gore herd, but he's super susceptible to stuff like small arms fire from the Ungor Raiders, so he should definitely be careful. Ooh, this is gonna be nasty pendulum right here. Oh, goodbye, Pigback Riders. Yeah, but Malagor did do a whoopsie and ended up actually landing in the middle of Piggyback Riders and Lead Belchers. These guys might actually die, encouraged by enemy unit routing. They might kill Malagor. If Malagor dies, this game can totally flip on its head. But smartly, it's seeming at least to me, Navi is completely avoiding Greases, because Greases is a good supporting character, especially with stuff like Horde Master and then the Crown, right, with 35% just wards, 10% ward save and ITP auras. So if he stands in the middle of a basic fight, he can also do his rampage thing and then catch, let's say, ooh, there we go, literally as I was saying it, he rampages Malagor to potentially land on the Lead Belchers, and then is going to surround him with something. But the problem is Malagor actually rampages onto the Lead Belchers instead of the blob here, which he wanted, and then to catch him with Greases and the monstrous impact of the hit. Butchers of Kalkangar getting dragged down, but look at these guys, man. If they run away now, they have 10 models. They could heal basically to full HP or to 60% HP and then get back into the fight, but their super high leadership actually is the thing that doesn't save them here and makes them keep into the fight consistently, and they actually die here. Though the Beastmen do take the middle objective again, so it is 2 tickets a second, and the back objective is very much safe for the Beastmen side. So as long as Navi, even though he is up trading here, it doesn't look like it, right? But even if he ends up losing everything and then being pushed back, he still has one objective, and he just needs to keep this specific objective. Oh my god, what a nice comet. Shutting down the Ungor Raiders. The Ungor Raiders are basically the bane of the existence of the Ogres, because they have such high DPS. We also see the Cash Cascade basically coming down and buffing all of these guys. Cash Cascade plus 24 melee attack into Noblars. They're gonna run through this specific fight, and Berserk ends up capping the middle objective. So depending on everything here, let's look at the battlefield here. If there is a chance that either side actually wins. So Navi actually needs 300 more seconds on a single objective to win, and there's a Saber Tusk and an Ogre Bull basically already booking it to his back objective. There's also a Blood Vulture coming in to basically go into the Korax Man Rippers to stop them from doing anything. If he goes with the Korax Man Rippers to the middle objective, I feel like he will lose. If he goes to the back objective, I feel like he has a better chance there, just because like there's too many Ogres and they're too fast in reinforcement here. right? So piggyback riders coming in, another piggyback rider, and then Ogre Bulls alongside Saber Tusk right here. I feel like it's a tough cookie, especially because Greasus is nowhere near death, right? Greasus is basically full HP. And him going into like the Koroks Man Rippers here, even though he's very weak when it comes to melee defense, he can still clap him, and he's gonna apply the stuff like Monstrous Impact. He has magic damage. He is probably gonna have Cascade at some point soon as well, so it's gonna be a difficult fight. And these guys are totally unsupported, even though they're super strong in a fight, right? Them soloing an entire army of ogres is probably not going to happen, especially considering there's like piggybacks here that can just come in and stop them, and then they will basically have the same amount of capture rate here. Also piggybacks, man, what an insane unit. +9, that means 3942, and absolute demolish into stuff like the double Gorble that we see here. If we look at the back objective, Navi basically did stop the objective cap, and with Malagor coming into the back of these Ogre Bulls, I feel like he has that objective, especially with the Centaurs. Nice Dismember to stop the reinforcements there. And if we look at the back, or the middle, pardon, objective, it is actually being lost. Oh my god, the double squad of the Gorbulls. He basically had everything leave the middle objective, and then the double squad of the Gorbulls actually had enough capture weight to retake the objective from Navi's side, and now they're even bullying the Butcher of Heavens. We see Cash Cascade just to stop him from actually being routed from the double Gorbulls, though one of the double Gorbulls actually gets clapped by the Monstrous Impact from our boy Greasus, and it looks like was there some healing being done here? Or no healing, just a bunch of other buffs. And now it's Greasus again going into the positive, but I don't know if he has enough time, right? This back objective, look at how many Beastmen have been summoned, man. The entire Beastmen army can just go from a Vanguard point, right? And it is just going to be a super difficult time. He has less than 50 seconds, around 50 seconds now, and he taps out. Berserk basically says, I can't get to your back objective, especially. I might be potentially able to go into the middle objective, but it's just a difficult time. And yeah, look at this. Grease is just with 500 value. He was just being avoided for the entire game. He was a nice supporting character and everything, but he was just avoided. Man, Noblars both paid for themselves. That's crazy. Piggybacks doing piggyback things. Flingers paying for themselves. Trappers being just relatively good. These guys sadly did not get to stand in any water and then be immune. Very nice job from the Saber Tusks. Yetis were terrible just because they were unsupported and just lost to that one unit of Minotaur's great weapons to the side. Butcher of Heavens, great stuff from the Comets and from the Chain Lightnings into the fight. Bulls did great as usual. Bulls did great as usual. Lead Belchers, relatively underwhelming. He definitely could have lost like less than half of their HP on that Centaur bait charge, but he ended up just giving them or having them stay in the fight for too long. Vultures, just a sweeper unit. And yeah, when it comes to Malagor, very nice pendulums from him. Gorbulls, not anything specific to value, but they did end up carrying when it comes to the capture weight in the end. Relatively okay time from all of the Gore Herd. They basically combined paid for all of themselves. And yeah, Ungor Raiders, the basic carry here. Nice Besticor in the end. They were like full HP. They were ready to basically take on the entire enemy army. Centaurs, as always, great unit. And yeah, this was the Minotaur great weapon that basically carried the game, right? By killing the Yetis and a bunch of other units. So, very cool game. 1-0 to Navi currently. And let's see what happens in game 2.